Okay, let's get started there, folks. It's time for 2 p.m. PST Twitch stream. I'm your host, Strange Bro Jim, and today we're going to be, uh, we have a long list of things to do. I'll have some pretty decent content for you all today on today's stream. Sorry, I'm just trying to clean some things up over here. Okay. Today we're going to be continuing our Pega studying. Hopefully, if anybody, uh, you know, is willing to join me, you're welcome to. Okay. Oh wait, I'm in the wrong voice channel. There we go. Okay. So we're going to be continuing the Pega Academy, working on. We're going to be finishing off the low code module. Um, let's see, we did the integrating with external applications and workspaces yesterday. We're going to be uh, exploring the workspaces a little bit more, and then we're going to be going on to the App Studio, and then hopefully by the end we'll take the module quiz and um, you know I don't expect any difficulties on my end. Obviously, um, if you're taking this for the very first time, then make sure that you have a lot of the details kind of remembered because they're gonna they're gonna ask questions along those lines. So, um, okay, I need to get a little bit of background music on my end so that my headset will um, stay audible, or my headset will not turn off on me. um, I won't be able to play it. It's copyrighted, so yeah, can't do anything there. So turn on some music yourself, sit back, relax, and let's get into this, shall we? So let's see. Okay, not seen the website. Let me go ahead and maybe seems to want to kind of reset itself. So, all right, there we go. The address changes, so you know, so the yeah, okay. So, um, like I mentioned before, we took care of we did low code first day. Yesterday we did the integrating with external applications and workspaces. We're going to be doing the App Studio, but before we do that, in workspaces, they had the description of the App Studio, but they also had these App Studio, these overviews. So what I want to do now is kind of go over those overviews with you all, because those will have some additional information that may or may not be on the certification. So better to go over them with you all in this and see what we can do with that. All right. So, um, everybody can see. Yeah, okay. Just want to make sure that we're all good there. Um, okay, so uh, App Studio overview. Turn your application development into no-code, user-friendly experience by working in App Studio. This is meant for the citizen developers here, so it's meant not to be the in-depth, but something that you can still build the application with. In this authoring environment, you can configure the main elements of your applications. That includes templates for your business processes, personas that involve all the processes, that are involved in the processes, interaction channels, and data. The App Studio purpose provides you with tools to develop your applications in a way that is convenient and understandable for a citizen developer with little or no knowledge of any programming language. In App Studio, you can prepare the following application elements. You know, bear that in mind. A citizen developer with little or no knowledge of any programming language. Hence the reason why um, the business analyst is typically, um, it's still good for, business analyst will, use this App Studio, but they don't need to have, um, programming language, you know, uh, under their belt to use it, or at least that's what Pega is trying to do. It still might be maybe a little confusing at first, but I mean, once you practice it, then it'll get better, obviously. So, reusable templates for your business purposes that Pega platform refers to as case types. We'll be definitely going over that in our journey here. That users complete at runtime to reach a successful outcome. Um, for more information, seeing add-in case types to organized work. We're going to be kind of going over that already. I don't know if there's really any need for me to kind of explore um, explore these. Um, Again, it feels like they're um, adding these, separate web pages, but it doesn't feel like they're like referring back to um, their their missions and like. So that's, I don't know. Feels like they're kind of doubling up the work that they don't really need to, but whatever. We move on. Personas that you create to visualize groups of users that interact with your application, such as customers, workers, or managers, or all of the above. It's um, you know, um, the there could be a scenario where you know uh, part of your application might be you know referenced by all of them. So, or your workers might be customers or something along those lines. So, you know probably should be an and or situation in that particular case, but whatever. You can define access settings for each group so that users view and process only relevant information. So, again, this is going to be covered quite a bit during the case types as we proceed onwards. So, the this link here for adding personas, I mean, that's going to be covered again later. So we can move on from there. Data objects that ensure that users have information required to resolve cases. Now, um, obviously, App Studio is meant to do that, but at the same time, you know, um, information might need to be stored in like databases. So um, that's mm, well, um, that might require more Dev Studio than App Studio to handle that kind of situation. Um, but we'll get there. Like, um, I remember during my training, they didn't really cover like connecting to an outside database very well. So, um, and I knew that that's going to be possible. You're going to have, um, DBAs that are, building, the database, the tables, the views, and so on and so forth. And, um, they're going to, use whatever systems that you use, to get it all done. And, um, while Pega has its own internal databases to handle, it you know connecting to the outside databases wasn't um, it didn't feel like it was something that was really stressed upon when I was taking it for when they were covering case types. So hopefully we'll get to a point where it is covered more. Um, but yeah, there's been some. It's been kind of odd along those lines. So again, if you do know Pega and you want to try to correct, if you want to correct me on some of this, please do. Um, whether it's in chat or if you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to add more information if you want to. I know, I'm just touching the surface here, so there's more information to come. Um, I might be incorrect in my initial uh, in my information right now. I'm not a trained trainer or anything. I'm not a Pega trainer or anything along those lines. So please don't make that assumption that I know everything about Pega. I'm trying to go for my certification, um, so just bear that in mind. Keep remember that. Be nice. um, okay. The approach of building your business processes on case types, personas, and data objects is a part of the Pega Express delivery approach. The method of delivering projects in a no-code or and user-oriented way. In the Pega Express delivery approach, you use App Studio to model your business processes by creating case types, personas, and data objects. A single business process that results in an expected outcome is a microjourney. So, so remember that because that's going to be covered quite a bit. A single business process that results in an expected outcome is a microjourney. Um, so, uh, most most likely this might be reworded, but it will they like to refer to microjourneys. So keep this keep this in mind when you go on for your like certification and whatnot. So um, okay, App Studio roles. App Studio targets business analysts, citizen application developers, front-end developers, and data engineers. For improved communication between developers and stakeholders, App Studio supports real-time UI design, so that any person that is involved in a business process can contribute to application planning and development, the approach that helps achieve the best effects while providing IT solutions for businesses, or IT solutions for business. App Studio tools. In App Studio, you can find multiple tools for developing and maintaining applications. On the overview page, you can find basic information about your application, for example, case types and personas that your application includes. By exploring work areas, you can quickly view and create the main parts of your application, such as case types, personas, channels, and UI elements. Each work area offers no-code solutions that you can use to model your business processes in a most effective, efficient way. The following video shows what you can find in each work area. So here's the overview, and they'll be kind of showing the case types and personas and so on and so forth. This is more visual. I don't think there's any auditory right at the moment, but that's okay because okay, yeah, that showed everything kind of here. So here's the oh here, hold on. Here's the overview. The very top option. They really should have kind of covered that. You know, as you can see in the upper left-hand corner. This is the overview that has um, the personas, the channels, the case types, and so on and so forth. Data objects. They click on case types to show the different case types that they have. The case life cycles. They show the datas. They show the channels. The exploring the data. The different users and all the settings associated with that. So, okay, to see the results of your work at runtime, preview an application display on a device and launch portals associated with your application. While in a preview, you can turn on the design mode to conveniently make any necessary adjustments by interacting with UI elements. Apart from building applications in App Studio, you can work with tools to collaborate with other developers and track your development work, for example, by posting messages and toggling Agile Workbench. To ensure that you maintain a good health and quality of your application, explore options that you can use to monitor and maintain your application performance. The tools include Clipboard, Tracer, and Accessibility Inspector. That wasn't shown in the video, but it's typically like at the very bottom of the App Studio. This Clipboard Tracer and Accessibility Inspector. That that's at the bottom of the App Studio. It didn't really show that, unfortunately. So, um, App Studio access. To grant access App Studio, you associate the PX Express portal with your access group. For more information, see granting portal access to an access group. From App Studio, you can switch to another workspace anytime and change the tools and features that are available in your work environment. For more information, see Changing Your Workspace. For relevant learning materials, see an App Studio module on Pega Academy. So, um, they say, um, what to do next, creating a micro journey for customer success. Again, I feel like they're kind of doubling up the workload for you because a lot of this information is um, given to you, you know, or it's um, it's kind of handled in like the system architect, low code app builder, so on and so forth. So the fact that they don't really refer back to those pages seems like they're kind of, like I said, they're kind of doubling up the work. Or if at the very least they should try to like maybe combine the information together. I don't know. I'm whatever. I feel that there's just a cleaner way that they can kind of do this, but whatever. I'm gonna move on. So we're gonna go and close that down. We're gonna move on to our Dev Studio overview on this one. Configure advanced technical options for your applications in a low-code and goal-oriented way by exploring the tools available in Dev Studio. You can use Dev Studio to save time by managing the reusable resources in your application in a more detailed way and to configure advanced settings for applications that focus on complex or exceptional business cases. Excuse me. Again, um, Dev Studio is more for those that handle, programming on a regular basis. So, um, while they do, offer, low code solutions, um, if there's something that might be a little beyond you in a way, feel free to ask questions. Okay. Um, I'll try to explain it best I can, or hopefully someone else can answer it, like maybe in my chat or, on the video itself. I'll do what I can to try to help out in some way or another. Maybe there's more information that I can find. So, so if there's like maybe a sentence that confuses you or something like that, maybe we haven't gone into that particular section yet, but we'll move on here. Dev Studio purpose and roles. Dev Studio contains tools that you can use to develop advanced aspects of your application in a convenient, low-code way. In many scenarios, Dev Studio expands the possibilities that App Studio offers so that you can create applications for unique, complex, and less common business processes. Dev Studio combines access to all of the capabilities that you might need when you create an application, such as case management, security, reporting, mobile, and UI user interface, so that you can provide end-to-end digital solutions for your projects. The focus in Dev Studio is on advanced functionality, such as system settings and rules. This is a big one here. um, with access to rule forms and rules management. Okay, so um, you'll learn very quickly that Pega refers to, well, pretty much everything in some cases as rules. So um, bear that in mind when we're moving forward. You know, um, a lot of it is, you know, uh, a lot of everything kind of gets contained in rules and the like. So like store that away for later. But yeah, um, in Dev Studio you can also manage security, versioning, and source control for your application. So that's helpful. Okay. The I mean, managed security. Yeah, that's obviously very necessary in today's day and age. Uh, what um, what you might not understand is the versioning and source control. So um, how shall I explain this? Um, so let's start off with versioning here. Um, Now, if you look at an application, okay, it may say, hey, you have version such and such, okay, um, and you might not understand what that's all about, okay. Um, think of it like this way, in a very, very broad example. Um, Windows 10 is a version of Windows. They recently did, they had, Windows 10, and then, they recently came out with Windows 11. Okay, Windows 11 is, you know, a different version of Windows, but it's a newer version of Windows. So, they try to say, hey, ver, you know, if you're using Windows 10, you're using an older version. You want to use Windows 11. That's you know that's like the most basic of mentality of versioning. Um, if you um, Here, let me see. Um, no, I can't really see that here. Okay. Um, I was trying to see if I can maybe bring up like the about page for Chrome so that you can kind of see the version of it. Um, hmm, Hold on a second. Let me, just in case I, show, I'm gonna switch over to webcam and let me see if I can find the about section. I don't want to like bring up something accidentally and show information that might cause me some difficulty. Um, there we go. That should work. Let me. Okay. So, um, so for Google Chrome here, okay, it's saying, hey, Chrome is up to date. Your version is 108.0.5359.125. Okay. That is the version. That's the version of Google Chrome. Okay. So whenever there's like maybe they need to do a update in some fashion, maybe they need to fix a bug, maybe they are trying to modify Chrome in some way, adding more features, whatnot. Um, each time they add something new to Chrome, they are making a newer version. So now I forget, I'm blanking on the the numberings of this. They have like specific um, naming conventions for each set here. So um, typically this one is for um, like um, really quick updates, like adding, changing, fixing bugs, adding small details, adding small code snippets to Chrome. Okay, it's not like a major release overall. Um, so um, they try to do like um, small changes here and there. Now, if there's like a bigger project, then they try to go with like um like a new version, like that maybe they want to add like a new new feature or something like that. Like maybe they want to have something over here on the left hand side that they haven't added before. So they might want to do like, 5360 or something along those lines. They want to, You know, they're working on a brand new feature to be kind of added over here, so they're kind of working on that. Um, and then and then it might be something along the lines of um, maybe they have like a full like revamp of their web page or something along those lines. Maybe they want to um, maybe this isn't working out for them. Maybe they want to redo their entire settings page or something along those lines. Maybe they want to um, change the user interface in some fashion or something like that. So they may change this to, they may say, okay, well, we're done with our older version, so we're going to do one here. And then they kind of redo this all over again, kind of thing. Or not necessarily all over again, but they would basically kind of take what they had, from the older versions and either build upon it or change it around to how they want for version one. Okay, for example. And then this 108 is typically like this is their hundred and eighth browser. Like it is the browser itself, you know. So um, so everything that they've changed with Google Chrome, you know, that is their, this is their Windows 10 and Windows 11, if you think about it that way. Okay, so that's what versioning is kind of all about there. Um, so that's what this is all about. Source control here is um, more towards um, if someone is working on like like a, a side project, maybe they're fixing a bug, maybe maybe they're on a team that is putting in a brand new feature. Um, Source control allows for you to um, kind of store, typically like store your code in um, so that you can access that code, on a regular basis. Other people can access that code and modify it if they need to. Um, um, it's in itself also has its own versioning. So if your like most up to date version in your code is bad, then you can um, go back through the history and say, okay, these updates that I did isn't working out. I'm gonna go back in history and just go to that older version because that one was working, that kind of thing. So there's a lot going on there in terms of code development. So um, obviously, if you're a business analyst, uh, you know, us developers, we're going to be talking about it, but you might not necessarily need to worry about it too much. You might want to be aware of it, but um, to say that you're going to be using it, probably not. So, um, target Dev Studio users include experienced application developers, security administrators, and account administrators. So a lot of overall, code development. So Dev Studio tools. Dev Studio provides you with tools to first configure and then maintain your application. On the Home tab, you can quickly view recent guardrail warnings. They don't really explain this, but we'll I'll try to explain it the best I can. But to check the compliance as well as the security status of your applications. Um, yeah, we'll get to that. By exploring the various work areas, you can access and manage the resources that your application includes. For example, you can view, edit, and create the reusable templates of your business processes that Pega platform refers to as case types. The data types work area helps you manage data for your application. By creating data types and supplementing them with data pages, you ensure that users of your application have the information they require to resolve business processes. They're throwing a lot of the keywords at you in this description right at this moment in time. So, um, so I mean, I could refer to you to them, but I mean, we will refer to them later. As we progress through, it's I mean, they're not wrong in using them, but at the same time, um, um, it's like um, they're referring to like very advanced techniques right at the very beginning. You know, it's like it's like you using, 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, and they're talking about, quadratic formula, uh, you know, um, derivatives and so on and so forth, and you're like, oh, wait, what? That kind of thing. Um, I'd almost say, hey guys, scale it back a little bit. Um, you know, uh, but I don't know. That's me. Um, in the app and records area, you can find the elements that are the technical building blocks of your application, the rules, classes, and branches. Again, we'll be referring to those later. You can also quickly preview the results of your work at runtime by launching a portal that you associate with your application. As a result, you can create applications that precisely meet your unique business needs. Um, this is just a lot of this is kind of full of key terms and the like that you're gonna be seeing more of as we progress. So if there's parts of this that you don't understand, I understand. I know. I know of them. I've seen them before. I've used. I've had to use them. But for you, maybe it's your very first time even seeing this. There might be some keywords here that you might not fully understand, or it might be you've never seen before. Maybe you're a business analyst and you're looking at this going, what the hell are you talking about? I get it. I understand. But we'll cover that. Um, Apart from building applications, Dev Studio provides you with the tools for collaborating with other developers and tracking your development work, for example, by posting pulse messages and opening Agile Workbench. To ensure that you maintain the good health and quality of your application, you can explore different options for monitoring and maintaining your application performance with tools such as the Clipboard, Tracer, and Accessibility Inspector. And once again, they're not showing the full screen here to show the Clipboard, Tracer, or Accessibility Inspector. Okay, so is if you can see here, they're showing guardrail warnings last 7 days, introduced by you, introduced by team, informational 1-on-1, moderate 0-0, severe 0-0. So basically they're showing that, hey, you have guardrail warnings that are informational that you introduced and the team has introduced. You know, um, informational are basically, um, you know, like slight concerns, like, you may have some, um, there might be some concern over this, um, like um, maybe you're like using the wrong variable or something like that. Maybe you're, instead of a float that you should be using an int. Meaning like maybe you're missing out on decimal points, in your digit or something like that. There's things like that. Um, it's very um, it there. Well, well, maybe not. Maybe not more. It might fall more on moderate. I don't know. They're looking at it and they're saying, hey, this might be a concern for you. We're showing it to you as, because um, this might cause a problem for you, but it's not so much that it will break your application or anything along those lines, or you're it's it's so much of a concern that you're we're worried about your security or something along those lines. Okay, that's what the guardrail warnings is all about. Pega is looking at what you've made and they're saying, hey, did you mean to like maybe forget some information that you need to add in here? That kind of thing. So, um, or, maybe, hey, you're causing something that is like a breach of your security. Maybe you should look at it, that kind of thing. So, um, so that's what you know, the guardrail warnings is kind of all about. So, and we'll go over everything else in this paragraph. So, to access Dev Studio, ensure that you associate the Dev and Development Portal with your access group. For more information, see granting portal access to an access group, which they refer to before. We may get to that later. I can't remember if the mission covers that. I'm going to assume that they do, um, because again, this is information that you should have. Um, so I'm going to assume that, again, we'll cover that. If not, if if we get to the end of you know of the mission, like we've passed the test at the end, and we still haven't you know covered this topic, please let me know. Okay, let me remind me that you know for some reason the mission does not show this whatsoever. Then we'll go back to it. But if I'm not mistaken, it does. The mission does cover portal access for the access group and changing your workspace. So at least I believe. From Dev Studio, you can switch to another workspace at any time and change the tools and features that are available in your work environment. For more information, see changing your workspace. Okay, that's it for Dev Studio. We're kind of running a little bit out of time here. So now, Production Studio and Admin Studio, as I referred to before, is not ones that I'm going to be focusing on. If you're a business analyst, you shouldn't necessarily focus on too much. Um, but again, they may refer to bits and pieces of those studios in the certification test. So I'm not saying go in depth in studying them. I'm just saying keep the overview in mind just in case. So I'm gonna kind of try to breeze through that so that we can move on to our next topic in our list here, which is the App Studio, which is quite a bit here. So I want to try to cover that in the next 10 minutes here. So let's go. Prediction Studio is an authoring environment in which you control the lifecycle of AI and machine learning models, such as model building, monitoring, and update. From Prediction Studio, you can also manage additional resources such as datasets, taxonomies. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, and sentiment lexicons. To access Prediction Studio, you must specify PX Prediction Studio as one of the portals associated with your access group. From Prediction Studio, you can switch to another workspace at any time and change the tools and features that are available in your work environment. For more information, see Changing Your Workspace. The following components are available in Prediction Studio. The header at the top of the Prediction Studio enables you to view the name of the current application, perform a search across the rules in that workspace, view the online help, and toggle the Agile Workbench. All right. Page header. Page header at the top displays the name of the current work area, for example, predictions, and enables you to perform a number of common actions such as viewing model reports, clearing deleted models, and so on. This toolbar also allows you to add models and additional resources. Navigation panel. Navigation panel on the left provides a quick access to the following work areas. Predictions. In this work area, you can create, predictions, models, data, settings, and that's it. In predictions work area, you can create predictions by answering several questions about what you want to predict. You can access, manage, and run existing predictions within your application. You can also perform machine learning operations, MLO ops, to replace predictive, adaptive, and scorecard models in predictions with external predictive models and approve the model updates for development to your production environment. For more information about predictions, see Creating and Managing Predictions. Again, that goes on a more um, that goes into more advanced topics, AI, having the AI uh, determine like market predictions or something like that. They're like studying the stock market for, hey, what's the best stock to buy tomorrow or something along those lines. That kind of thing. Um, but you're, you're kind of building them. So that's why this can be pretty advanced. Um, so I mean, if you're really into that, then feel free to try to learn those, but don't feel like you absolutely need to know how to handle, machine learning. Okay. Models. In this work area, you can access, sort, and manage predictive, adaptive, and text analytics models within your application. By default, the models are displayed as tiles. Each model tile contains an icon for quick identification of model type, the model name, and the indication of whether the model is completed or being built. Um, I believe that's these right here that they're showing here. These are the models that they're referring to. Data. In this work area, you can create and manage datasets or interaction history summaries. In addition, you can access resources such as taxonomies or sentiment lexicons that provide features for building machine learning models. Um, I think that's down here, I think. or they have separate page altogether. Settings. This work area contains the global settings for model development, such as internal database where model records and related resources are stored, their default application context, and model transparency policy. So, Prediction Studio transitions. You can quickly transition between Prediction Studio and business portals such as Pega Customer Decision Hub. When in Prediction Studio, you can click the back widget to return to a business portal with no context change. So, so yeah. There are some things in that kind of go over my head, um, so we'll just leave that alone. Be aware of it, but again, um, unless the topic is interesting to you, don't um, don't worry too much about it. That gets covered more in the certification for it, so don't stress. Admin Studio overview. Monitor and manage resources in your system more efficiently by using the tools that Admin Studio provides. You can use Admin Studio to access runtime information and configure options for the resources that you create in Dev Studio. Um, Admin Studio purpose and roles. Admin Studio focuses on system administration and provides tools for monitoring and debugging resources in your system. Target users of Admin Studio are system administrators. Um, they make sure that your security's set up and the like. Who has access to what code and all that jazz. So that's kind of what Admin Studio is meant to be all about. By exploring the work areas that Admin Studio includes, you can maintain the top performance of your application. In the overview work area, you can view data about your system and analyze information about all the resources available in your environment. For example, you can check how many nodes your application includes in total, how many of those nodes are currently running. The resources work area provides access to landing pages that focus on specific resources in your system. Depending on the resource, apart from viewing a list of resource instances available in your system, you can also investigate and fix issues, start and stop resources, or even remove resources from your system. In Admin Studio, you can also configure the settings for a mobile build server and manage the cache for users of your application's mobile channel, as well as preview system details, available nodes, other applications, and Java classes. And they're showing a slight view um, of what's available. You have the overview page. They're showing you the resources available, the mobile settings, and the overall system settings. So, admin access. To access Admin Studio, ensure that you associate the PX Admin Studio portal with your access group. For more information, see granting portal access to an access group. From Admin Studio, you can switch to another workspace at any time and change the tools and features that are available in your work environment. For more information, see Changing Workspace. For learning materials about Admin Studio, see Admin Studio topic on Pega Academy. Um, Notice how, you know, we had the PX Admin Studio. You had other PXs for the other studios as well. That shows how much um, they have these indicators at the very very beginning. You know, it's there for a reason, there, folks. But we'll cover that. We'll cover that later. But just bear that in mind. It is 3 o'clock already, and we haven't even gotten into App Studio. Um, there's a lot to cover here, and I want to make sure that we go over it. I mean, there's no time for me to rush through it. You know, I want to make sure that we kind of cover through everything here slowly and methodically. So we'll have to hold off on this for tomorrow. Um, would have liked to have gotten through that, but um, yeah. So we'll have to cover App Studio and the module quiz tomorrow. Um, so be prepared for that. Um, I know it's kind of slow going right at this point. Um, but I mean, um, hopefully I'm helping everybody out on um, understanding all the topics right at this point. It's slow, but we'll get there. Now there might come a time where I may need to like um, push the setting out even more. Okay, instead of these hour sessions, it might go more, depending on like the what's going on. For example, um, in the low-code app builder, there are things called challenges, meaning that they want to kind of have you go over, um, step by step how to, design a case lifecycle, for example, here, right? They say, hey, it'll take you 30 minutes to get through this. Now, I could breeze through this, but at the same time, I might take, more time to maybe try to explain some things in there. So, this might take more than just 30 minutes. This might, take an hour, might take an hour and a half. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Um, I just want to let everybody know, um, if it gets to like a particular topic that, you know, might take a while, then, um, then, you know, the, um, we may push our time out even more. Okay. Like for example, this low code app builder here. They're saying that it's going to take us 2 hours to go through this entire exercise here. Um, and as I've mentioned before, they're I often find that their time isn't accurate. Um, so their 2 hours might be more like 3 hours. Now, I'll see, once we get here that, if it does take longer, we'll see if I can like maybe save it and, do the rest the next day. But, I just want to warn you that there might be a point where, these 1 hour sessions might extend. So, so just want to kind of give that little warning to everybody here. Um, So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But that's it for today's study session. So I'm going to go ahead and close on out. We're going to move on to um, um, the um we're going to move on to setting up some more videos to be released and the like. Um, Go ahead and release the second Pega video, um, and then, or we'll proceed with the Pega videos and so on and so forth. Um, so thank you everybody for watching this particular segment. If you're watching on YouTube, do the like and subscribe for more later. Check out my other playlists for like other code or games if you're interested. Um, that'd be great. That'd help. Um, but yeah, we're gonna go ahead and shut the recording down. So take care.